I'm Car Dad, and today we're going to talk about motor oil, changing motor oil, as well as what kind of motor oil to choose. So having enough information about oil and changing intervals is important to regular maintenance in your car. If you keep up with it, your car will last almost forever, or at least if it's a modern car, around 250, 300,000 miles. Motor oil does a bunch of things in your engine. It cleans it, it keeps it lubricated, it keeps metal bits from rubbing against metal bits. Everybody knows you're supposed to change your motor oil. How often and what kind of oil, it can be confusing. How often should you change your oil? I think a lot of people say, I'll change my oil every 3,000 miles. I change my oil every 5,000 miles. Really, what you should do is look in your manual and it will tell you how often to change your oil. Now, if you go to one of those quick oil change places, they may try to get you to change it more often. Clearly, if you change it according to your manual, you'll have met the specifications set by the designers of the engine. Now that said, if you do a lot of city driving, starting and stopping, you may want to change your oil every 3,000 miles. If you do a lot of highway driving, every 5,000 miles should be adequate. Again, use your manual as a guide. A lot of modern cars have little reminders on your dash based on mileage. You can use that as a guide as well. So, how often should you check the oil level in your car? Depending on how old it is. I would suggest you check it at least once a month. All cars burn oil. The more you check, the more familiar you will be with how quickly it burns oil. On our Scion, it burns very little oil and I don't have to add anything in between the changing intervals. On the Mini, oh my gosh, it burns all kinds of oil and I have to add oil every 3 fill-ups, which is typical for those cars. Crazy, eh? The way you check your engine oil level is park your car on a level surface. Whether it's cold or hot probably doesn't matter. If it's hot, be careful what you touch. Remove your dipstick, wipe it clean, and then put the dipstick back in place, pull it out, and then look at the tip to judge how much oil is in there, whether you need to add or not. Here's a Mercedes dipstick. It's empty, full. Here's a Prius dipstick. That dot is empty. That dot is full. Here's the Scion's dipstick. It's empty, full. There's even an F there. I think most dipsticks, the difference between empty and full is about a quart of oil. So even if you're taking your car to your mechanic or a quick lube center for an oil change, it's good to know what type of oil should be used, because more often than not, they'll try to upsell you to a better motor oil or branded motor oil or synthetic, whether you need it or not. So which motor oil should you choose? Look to your manual for suggested motor oil specifications. In many newer cars, the oil specification is actually printed on the cap. If you don't have your manual, look online and you'll find the correct specification for the motor oil for your car. This number represents thickness or temperature viscosity profile. Viscosity is a measure of flowability of oil, thin or thick, or how easy it flows. So the W actually means winter and means that the oil's been tested at 0 degrees Fahrenheit and meets this viscosity specification. That's something you could share at parties, and your friends will think you're totally awesome. So why do modern motor oils have a range? Because a car functions on planet Earth, and there's cold and hot either across a day or across the seasons. So it's good to have that temperature flexibility. Rule of thumb is if your car is running well and it doesn't have a lot of miles, regular motor oil, non-synthetic motor oil should be fine as long as you change it at those recommended intervals. Can you mix oils? Yes. So one myth is you can't mix oils, but it's okay. And there's nerds out there that I don't have anything better to do, but they mix oils to try to optimize certain parts of that brand's promise, or anyway, it's crazy. But they mix oils and it doesn't really mess with their engine. As well as you can change brands between changes. So your engine is pretty flexible when it comes to oil as long as you put in the right weight specified in your manual and you change it at the intervals that they suggest. Stuck in the middle of Idaho and you can't find the brand of oil that your car used and it looks like it needs some oil, just get what is available as long as it meets the right viscosity specification. And even then, it's better to put the wrong oil in your car in an emergency situation than let the oil run low. Pretty easy. Change your oil regularly with the right oil. Your car will last longer and you'll be happier and everything will go your way. Everything. So happy motoring. So happy motoring. So happy motoring. So happy motoring. I'm hungry.